That we have challenges, always have, always will. But we also know that we live in the freest, strongest, most generous, and prosperous nation in the history of the world, and we're thankful for that.
Thompson was first elected to finish out the rest of Vice President Al Gore's Senate term.
Thompson was 73. An armed robbery in Chicago thwarted. Police say a masked gunman tried to hold up a neighborhood store on the city's southwest side, but a customer with a concealed carry license took out the robber, killing him. Finally, an end may be in sight for the relentless range-drenching Texas.
We really need to get through the next 48 hours for parts of Texas and Louisiana. In some cases, over a foot of rainfall in the last 48 hours. Estimated precipitation, again, around the Austin area, close to a foot of rainfall. Around the Houston area, over a foot of rainfall.
Fox News meteorologist Janice Dean there. So far, 6 have died in flooding as severe weather rips through Texas. A shocking find inside the Halloween candy of some suburban Philadelphia kids, needles in their chocolate bars.
It's 5 different kids that were unrelated in 5 different incidents.
Kennett Square Mayor Matthew Fettick
leads us to believe that it's a credible report that we're going to investigate fully.
Good news, no one was hurt. And a win tonight for KC means the Royals are World Series champs, but the Mets not backing down, leading in the 6th inning 1-0. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
I'm Grace Hackett, taking a look at traffic. Northbound Red Line trains will not stop at several stops, including Wilson, Berwyn, Thorndale, and Granville until 4 a.m. tomorrow due to track work. Southbound trains continue to make all stops in the area. There's still a delay on the eastbound side of the O'Hare extension between O'Hare Airport and Manheim Road due to an earlier accident. There's still solid traffic backing up to the airport terminals. There's an accident on the Tri-State Tollway on the southbound side just south of Harlem Avenue. There's also an accident on the Tri-State Tollway on the southbound side at Cicero. The left shoulder is blocked there. On Lakeshore Drive, we're seeing a delay on the southbound side between the Oak Street Curve and Chicago Avenue. Hollywood to Monroe, 16 minutes. And now let's take a look at the weather. It's currently 59 degrees and clear. Tonight's low is 52. Next update in 15 minutes on AM560 The Answer.
If you're looking for a better shooting experience, imagine shooting virtually all your firearms the same day. You can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, or compete in a 3-gun match. You can exercise that rifle out to 600 yards, even engage in a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. Do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Whether you're a novice looking for a basic course or an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, even if you want to participate in your favorite shooting event such as IDPA or cowboy action shooting. Spend an enjoyable day with the family at the Aurora Sportsman's Club, the only shooting facility in the region that offers all of that and more. If that sounds interesting, don't miss the next orientation and a tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois. Call the membership department at 815-264-9000 extension 44 for information. That's 815-264-9000 extension 44 to show one-of-a-kind shooting facility. The Aurora Sportsman's Club.
Here's some great news. Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates can help you with your retirement game plan. You know Jack, or you should. Jack is the president and founder of Tabota & Associates. He's been helping folks just like you retire successfully for 3 decades. Jack has the insight, information, strategies, and experience you can use to build wealth and keep it. Live good. Retire well with Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates. 630-777-7955. 630-777-7955.
Getting caught in the storm, really did turn out to be a risk. And if our timing was a little bit different.
Steve shudders to think of what could have happened to his loved ones that day. Plan ahead so you don't get caught in a storm. If a storm is headed your way, stay inside. If you're outside, seek shelter in an enclosed vehicle with a hardtop roof. Learn more and see their story at safeelectricity.org.
Sponsored by the Energy Education Council.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
I have 2 words for you. Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life. from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues. Here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David and Gretchen will be talking about the truth about cops. Academics trying to convince the president to prosecute those that disagree with the liberal climate change paradigm. Europeans having second thoughts about the gun bans. And be sure to listen to segment 6 to learn about Obama's new school holiday and that has parents concerned. All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So be sure to go to Facebook, like our page, On Target Radio, and ask a question there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
It's become popular among effete liberal journalists to pick apart every interaction police have with blacks. It has become so formulaic that I had to laugh when one journalist called a cop racist for his rough and tumble arrest of a young black male who had assaulted someone. The cop was also black. Armchair quarterbacks of all flavors, be it law enforcement or football, typically share one thing in common. They've never actually done it themselves. They're voyeurs. They wax eloquent on what the cop did wrong with absolutely no grounds upon which to draw a conclusion. Watching a cop fighting with someone during an arrest is almost always out of context. Now, before I completely launch into a rant about this, I readily admit that there are bad cops in the world. Similarly, there are bad doctors, attorneys, teachers, and practitioners of every other profession. Sometimes cops do cross the line, and they should be held accountable when that happens. But in an effort to fill white space, journalists rush to judgment with little or no facts so that they can turn in a story ahead of the competition. This is primarily due to the fact that today's journalists tend to be liberal hacks purveying sensationalism to make a name for themselves rather than actually doing the hard research and work associated with good journalism. Think, Geraldo Rivera. Let's look at a few simple facts. The truth of the matter is the overwhelming majority of law enforcement officers are good people trying to maintain a safe, civil society. Cops, just like anyone else, want to go home at the end of the day, be with their families, and lead normal lives. Unlike anyone else, cops and other emergency service responders are constantly exposed to the potential for getting killed during a normal workday, and lately, for being ambushed. Make no mistake, the number of ambushes of police officers has clearly risen over the past few years to about 250 incidents per year between 2008 and 2013, up from about 200 per year during the previous 10-year period, according to a Justice Department study. Another fact that seems to be overlooked is once a cop is involved in a situation, the situation has to be resolved, period. A cop can't just ignore the problem and go away. If the subject escalates the situation, the cop has to escalate the response. At some point, you cross a threshold and you're going to jail. A cop doesn't walk into a classroom, arbitrarily grab a student, drag them out of a chair, and take them to jail. You have to see the context of the situation. Saying that the cop should have done something other than what he did ignores the reality that every situation evolves differently, and a cop is always forced to respond to a changing condition. They do the best they can, given the situation as it unfolds. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel recently said in a press conference that Chicago cops are, and I quote, going fetal, unquote, meaning they're laying back rather than doing their jobs. Emanuel said, and I quote again, officers themselves are telling me about how the news over the last 15 months impacted their instincts. Do they stop or do they keep driving? When I stop, is there going to be my career on the line? And that's an honest conversation. And all of us who want officers to be proactive, to be able to do community policing in a proactive way, have to encourage them. So it's not their job on the line or that judgment call all the time that if they stop, this could be a career ender, unquote. In my almost 20 years association with law enforcement, I worked with a lot of cops. No two were alike. They have their own quirks, prejudice, philosophies, just like anybody else. But there are two truisms that stand out over all those years. The first is, I never heard any cop say, let's go violate that guy's civil rights, or for that matter, intentionally do anything that they thought was a violation of someone's civil rights. There were occasional unintended mistakes, but not once can I recall anyone intentionally doing something wrong. And the second truism is that even the biggest slacker I ever worked with never held back when something bad went down, despite the fact that legally law enforcement officers have no obligation to put themselves intentionally into harm's way. I never once saw a cop that didn't rush to the aid as a civilian in trouble or back up another cop in a dicey situation. The one common denominator of virtually all law enforcement officers is they're sheepdogs. They are by nature protectors, a fact borne out by the large number of applicants for law enforcement job openings, despite some segments of society pinning a target on their backs. If you don't like cops, just think about a world where no one responds when you need help. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
Yes, I think you mentioned the teenager, the female teenager in the bikini being arrested, and that particular video always it really irks me whenever I think about it because she's resisting arrest.
Exactly.
The officer is not in the wrong. The girl is in the wrong.
Have you read the whole thing? The whole report on that?
No.
It escalated. She escalated on. Well, what she was doing is she was using a cell phone. The teacher said, "Don't do that," and she told the teacher to F off.
Okay.
And the teacher said it again.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the school one. I'm talking about the pool party one.
Oh, I'm talking about the school one. That's what I was thinking of.
Well, and that's also a good example. And I've actually seen still shots of that one where it's like the student hit the officer, the student did this, the student did that. So yeah.
And what you see is a cop dragging a young woman out of a chair, and you go, "My God, that's terrible." What you don't get is everything that led up to it. The cop. Once you call a cop, the solution, there's got to be a solution to the issue, right? Because he doesn't just say, "Oh well, I'm going to go home." Right. And if you resist, that doesn't change the fact that he's going to have to do something.
Right.
And it's an unfortunate thing. But here, the best comment I saw on that is, you want to blame somebody, blame the parents. The kids should have been taught they shouldn't do that kind of stuff to begin with.
Well, right. That you don't sass back to your teachers, and you don't disrespect law enforcement. You don't resist arrest. And both of those, and the girl at the pool party as well. It's the same thing. Where do these people, I don't care who they are, I don't care what color their skin is, where do these people get the idea that it's okay to resist arrest? That if you don't think you should be arrested, you just don't allow yourself to be arrested. I don't know of a state where that's not against the law.
You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. You're right. And there was a young black man who put a thing on Facebook recently who got pulled over on a traffic stop, and he was carrying a gun legally, had a concealed carry, and he went through the whole thing. The cop took the gun for their safety, and they talked back and forth, gave him the gun back, ended up not writing a ticket. And the kid says, there was no problem. I did what he said I did. I didn't give him a hard time. He didn't give me a hard time. We had a good conversation. He ended up giving me a pass. That was the end of it. Yeah. If you look at the statistics, these, like some of the background that we looked at, white cops on black people, those assault, that if you look at the actual hard statistics, if you look, and these are Department of Justice. This is under the Obama administration, his appointed people making up these reports. So if it's going to be skewed in any direction, it's going to be skewed in their favor.
Right.
And you look at the numbers they produce, and it's simply, it's not an issue.
The numbers aren't there. Yeah. Sheriff Clark, David Clark from Milwaukee, he says, 61% of the people involved in use of force incidents were white males. 32% were black males. Almost 2-to-1 ratio. If there's anybody that has a claim on police use of force, it's white males.
Exactly. And Rahm Emanuel saying, Chicago PD, the cops have gone fetal. Well, to a certain degree, I do get that, because how can you be a cop today and not have that in the back of your mind?
Oh yeah.
It's pervasive.
I'm really glad that I'm not.
Well, I don't miss it, to be honest with you. It's a lot different now than it was even 5 years ago.
Right.
It really is.
It is.
When we come back, we're going to talk a little more about that. We're going to carry this subject over. We're going to talk more about the truth about being a cop and some of the issues that are coming up and what they're doing about it. So it's all that and more when we come back with more On Target Radio. And you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
Stuck in traffic. We've got the answer.
Okay, we're having fun now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Taking a look at traffic. Outbound
So,
completely shut down between 103rd and 111th with a accident. Inbound side, you're seeing a little bit of a gaper.
Yeah, this whole Black Lives Matter thing, they just keep chanting that as a mantra. It's crap.
Southbound on Lakeshore Drive, solid north.
Did you see the comment about why they don't like Carson?
There. Southbound on the tri-state.
Yeah. I like that.
Who's they?
Huh?
Who's they?
Anybody who's black or anybody that is in the liberal.
The Democrats.
Yeah,
These
Democrats.
Black and white Democrats.
Yeah. He's dangerous because, and this really is true. He's dangerous because he's a black guy who worked and made big success.
Right. He started out poor and worked his way up.
And that's exactly the opposite of what Democrats want blacks to do.
Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 72 degrees. Next update in 15 minutes.
Okay.
AM560 The Answer.
Facebook is like just peeing on my parade. It's just like not. It will give me nothing. Oh, here you go. Pete Webb shared a link on Target Radio. Great intro listening on gun channels.
Yes, the guys' gun channels. They're listening now, so they hear us.
There you are.
I post a link up on there before I come in here, and also on my channel, it's on gun channels too, so people can watch.
So somebody's listening.
Oh yeah, there's got a lot of people that watch.
For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association
Kind of a fun group of guys that go on there and hang out and chat.
to keep and bear
They do like they use basically what kind
Are they just listening on the internet or are they watching?
They're probably watching because they're all over the place. Yeah, I think he's out in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken.
For over 100 years, the Illinois
And if
State
I had a
Rifle
faster
Association
laptop, videos and stuff, you can actually comment and talk with them.
ISRA.org or
Okay.
815-635-3198.
Facebook is not liking me, period. End of story. I don't know what the problem is.
Tired of your outdated bathrooms? Did a big box store raise more questions than answers? The answer is Stone City. 2 million square feet of marble and granite countertops and 50 colors starting at $26 a square foot installed. Plus the latest appliances, cabinetry, faucets, and fixtures. Stone City designers transform your dream into reality. Stone City, 3053 West Grand in Chicago, or call 773-533-9806. That's 773-533-9806. Stone City, it's your home only better.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes.
Our listenership online is going up.
If you get sued. Step 1.
It is?
Yeah, it has.
What is it, 6?
If you're not
No,
incorporated,
it's
then
like
someone
13
sues
right
your
now.
business tomorrow.
Oh,
It's not
that's
just your
okay.
business.
I mean, it's not a ton. Some of the other guys that have bigger channels, they get like 30 to 60 people watching.
Step
And they're
2.
much bigger than
Call
ours.
the
So.
following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from incorporate.com.
Is there somebody that we should
1-800-733-1593. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just
Got a genuine good caller.
Takes exception with one thing.
Form an LLC in just
Takes
10 minutes.
exception with one thing, which was your assessment on whether the action against the girl in the school was rational.
Huh? Okay.
15 seconds.
15 seconds and we're going to find out whether I was rational or not.
That is how
There you go.
You hear that?
Not really what we're
In
trying to ask.
15 seconds, we're going to find out if I'm rational.
Call 1-800-1593. That's 1-800-733-1593.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Pithy words of wisdom that apparently Mark from Kenosha is following. And Mark is agreeing with me, but only partly. Is that right, Mark?
That's 100%. I agree with you that we should give full endorsement to those men in blue who helped us out. You betcha.
And the part where you don't agree with me is?
Well, I also agree, if I can continue the thought, that there are good doctors and there are bad doctors.
That's true.
And what we have to do is ask the right questions to determine when we get a bad doctor. And if we've got a bad doctor, then we should express everything that we can do to, well, I don't know, curb that situation. I don't know. How would you put it?
Well, yeah, I mean, actually now you can go online and there are, unlike years ago, there are websites you can go to that will list doctors and people have an opportunity to write stuff in. I'm always a little suspicious of that, though. I mean, not everybody's happy with. Sometimes people, like doctors, do stuff to you because it has to be done, and you don't like that.
Well, when we talk about policemen, yeah, I'm sure nobody likes what they do, but the idea here is that there are going to be bad policemen. We have to recognize that fact.
Sure, they exist.
And I think one of the things that you want to keep in mind when you take a look at these situations is the policeman has a responsibility to de-escalate a situation, not escalate a situation.
That is true.
So the question is when you get this young girl who's in a classroom who tells her teacher to F off, what did he do? Did he come in there and demonstrate his strength and authority? Is that the proper police message that we're looking for?
Mark, he didn't do that. According to the report that I read, he did not do that. He went in and tried to talk to her, and she told him to F off twice on 2 different times. And so then he said, you have to leave the classroom. She refused to get up. And so up to that, that's passive aggression. And there's a continuum. And when you read the report, I mean, he followed the continuum. He did exactly what the continuum calls for. It looks terrible. There's no question about that. But I'm going to tell you something. They're teenage, and I'm not suggesting she's one. I don't want to mix these two, but I want you to understand something. There are 15, 14-year-old kids out in the hood who will shoot you if you turn your back to them. You don't know who you're dealing with when you deal with people. He basically followed the force continuum if you read that report. But I know, Mark, it doesn't look good. I know that.
Well, the idea is that the situation escalated and he went along with it. He's got to change the approach there. He's got to tell the rest of the class to leave the room. If she won't leave, have the rest of the class leave. He's got to bring in 2 or 3 more people in the room and then ask her to kindly. But the idea is you've got to change the situation, and he's the adult. He's supposed to know how to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And we took a thing called Gretchen, did you take it? Judo? Verbal judo. That's what it was called. We had to take a course called verbal judo, and it basically talks about those things. But I can't second guess because you can read stuff and you can see a video, but you're not there. I mean, I don't really know what happened. All I know is what I've seen, but I appreciate it.
Then I'll tell you what, let me give you one scenario that I have seen, because I think that's a genuine argument. You can't second guess. But here's a situation I was in the middle of. And you had made the comment that policemen do not go out of their way and say, tonight I'm going to jeopardize somebody's rights. That's not true. 2 o'clock in the morning, policemen get bored just like everybody else. They look for something to do. And I've been a situation or a victim of that on 2 separate occasions. Now, I don't think I have to get into the detail, but the point is that I'll tell you that sometimes you can get pulled over, arrested, and that is what I mean by detained. They'll take you down to the police station. They sat me down and they looked through the book to see if they could find a violation. When they couldn't find a violation, they said, "Thank you very much," and sent me on my way with not so much as an apology.
Yeah.
And on one occasion, they took me to court, and the judge took a look at them and said, "What, are you kidding me?" and dismissed it and sent me on my way.
Yeah, Mark, I remember when I lived in Louisiana, there was a little town that literally was the quintessential speed trap. They made their money by getting speeders. It was crooked. There's no question about it. You're right. There's some bad cops. I get that. They would pull you over if you were 1 mile over the speed limit. And then the deal always was, we don't bond you out. So you can either stay here in the lockup until Monday, 2 days later, or you can pay the fine. And the fine was like, you're doing 3 miles over the limit. The fine was like $150. And this is back in the 80s. Okay. So, it was a game. You're right. There's some bad people, but I'm just saying in overall, cops have a tough job and people take them out of context. They just do that. What can I say? Anyway, that never happens to state cops, though, right?
Of course it does.
Oh, I'm okay.
It happens to everyone who puts on the uniform and the badge.
Yeah, it really does. And here's the other thing. And while I'm saying this, you're listening to AM560 The Answer. This is on Target Radio, and we're talking about cops. The other thing is sometimes there's like federal money programs and stuff where you're specifically sending cops out looking for something. Seatbelt violations.
Sure.
I mean, they're looking for very specific things. And in that regard, they are hunting. They literally are out hunting for someone. And if they get a whiff of blood in the water, they go after it because they're actually assigned that night to do that. And that's aggressive policing. And, you can argue if that's good or bad, but it's legal that way. The way it's done, it is legal. And it does turn up drunk drivers and, it has some merit. So it's
Right.
It's a tough job. You did it. It's a tough job.
It is. It is. It's certainly not for everyone. I know that it tends to be about 10% women is as high as they can get it. It doesn't matter what they do to recruit more women. It's just, it doesn't speak to most women.
No.
It's not something that most women want to do. And it's the same. I mean, you're only going to get a certain percentage of the population, whether male or female, because you have to, it's almost a calling, it's almost like a priesthood or something like that. You have to feel called to it. Because it's such a hard job, no one would do it if they weren't.
It's people who do that basically they're sheepdogs. I mean, it's just, it's what they do. If they weren't doing that, they would be doing something similar.
Yeah. I mean, the people that I met, I can't imagine them doing anything else.
Yeah. It's just the nature of the beast. And unfortunately, like a doctor, like anybody that deals with potentially life critical services, no one's infallible. I mean, sometimes you just screw up. You make, it's a bad judgment call. You screw up. You look at it and go, oh my God, what was I thinking? And the problem is if you're a cop, it's like, well, you're intentionally trying to, do this, you're intentionally trying to do that. The numbers don't bear that out.
Right.
They just don't. All of this stuff that, Black Lives Matter is putting out in Farrakhan, if you look at the actual hard numbers published by the Department of Justice, it does not bear out.
No, another statistic that Sheriff Clark cited is that 0.04% of perpetrators of homicides of Black people are police officers, less than 0.1%. And on the other hand, 93% of perpetrators of homicides of Black people are committed by other Black people.
Exactly.
So, I think that, again, this Black Lives Matter thing, there was another article we read, I don't remember which one it was, but he basically said, what Obama really should say is look in the mirror. If you want to solve the problem, and I hate to sound like I'm quoting Michael Jackson, but the problem is it within the Black community.
Yeah. It's closer to home than you're picturing.
Right.
And, and we talked about this on the break, but there is a segment of society that prosper because they keep Black people in the situation that they're in.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Carson is just, this is a classic example. The liberals hate Carson. Why would you hate a Black male who is successful and humanitarian?
Because he doesn't fit the narrative.
Exactly. Here's a guy who was not wealthy as a child, worked his way through. He went through medical school, became very successful doctor.
Yes.
He's retired. He's very literate. Of course they don't like him because that's saying to other Black people, you know what? It's okay to be poor. You can still do it. That's the last thing liberals want.
Right. They want to perpetuate the vote buying that they do. They want to keep giving people handouts so that they will vote the way that they want them to. And if large percentages of Black people started believing that I can be successful if I work hard at it, it doesn't work for them anymore.
Jesse Jackson will have to give up a house.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. When we come back, interesting thing. There are some professors from very prestigious universities who are thinking that they should prosecute people who don't believe in climate change. All that and more on Target Radio when we return. And you're listening to AM 560, The Answer.
One day only. With all of these names together. Sean Hannity, Ann Coulter, Hugh Hewitt, KT McFarland, Katie Pavlich, and Guy Benson. It's Freedom Summit Chicago 2015, November 14th in Itasca. Tickets begin at just $29 and are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. Don't miss this exclusive event. Go to freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. Actor and former GOP Senator from Tennessee, Fred Thompson, has died. Thompson was a lawyer and later found success as a TV and movie star, appearing in such films as The Hunt for Red October.
This business will get out of control. It'll get out of control and we'll be lucky to live through it.
He co-starred on NBC's Law & Order. He entered the 2008 Republican presidential race but dropped out early. Thompson died in Nashville of lymphoma. He was 73. 2 Kenyans the winners, plus more from today's New York City Marathon.
Stanley Biwak won the men's race in 2 hours and 10 minutes, and Mary Catania became the first woman to repeat wins since 2008 in 2 hours and 24 minutes. It's an inspiring special day, especially for Charles Catherine, who suddenly became blind 3 years ago and ran his first marathon with the help of 3 guides, including one tethered to his waist. Charles finished the big race in under 4 hours.
Fox's Brian Yanis, Fox News. We report, you decide.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Taking a look at the roads, all lanes of outbound Bishop Ford shut down between 103rd and 111th with a crash. Seeing solid delays back to the Dan Ryan. Those delays are building, so either avoid the area or give yourself plenty of extra time. The inbound side has a little bit of a Gapers delay approaching 111th, 16 minutes from 8094. Solid on southbound Lakeshore Drive as well between North Avenue and Chicago with road work. Give yourself 20 from Hollywood into downtown. Southbound Tri-State still has a left lane blocking crash south of Harlem, not causing too much of a delay. The rest of the tollways are clear. And heavy stuff getting out of the O'Hare Airport on the 190 extension to past Mannheim. That's because of an earlier accident. 25 from O'Hare to downtown on the Kennedy. 57 degrees right now, clear tonight, a low of 51, some sun tomorrow and a high of 72. Next update in 15 minutes on AM560 The Answer.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. AM560 On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invites you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com or call 877-954-3030. That's 877-954-3030. Safer USA.